people, we did this when I was in affordable housing, helps people get over the first and last month's rent and security deposit, so come up with a chunk of cash to help people get into an affordable rental.
Thank you, Ms. Noble. Councillor?
Well, the city, we can contribute land. You know, we've got a lot of land in the city, and we're actually doing a study right now to find out where we can put affordable housing. You know, we can also invest in infrastructure. You know, if we were to, all these pieces of property owned, if we were to invest in the infrastructure, put the right amenities in there, it would bring down the cost to the builders. But the thing that I've been trying to tell everybody here, we first need to define affordability. Because what's affordable to your parents may not be affordable to your parents. What's affordable to your parents may not be affordable to your parents. This is the thing that we've had to struggle with over the years. When we say that this is an affordable house, but we see it at $250,000, for somebody who's just barely coming out of college, starting, you know, their life, their new job, is that affordable to you? No. We need to define it. We need to make sure that if we are truly going to say this is an affordable house, it's got to be affordable to that person or to that family. So that is something that I definitely, as your next mayor, want to work with the people here in Santa Fe so we can have that dialogue, have that discussion. Let's define affordability for everyone in the community, not just the select few.
Mr. Weber?
Thank you. I wish we had more than a minute to talk about economics and housing. Anytime you talk about economics, there are various ways to keep track of your money. There are tangibles and intangibles. Let's talk about the intangibles first. If you're trying to build affordable housing in Santa Fe, the biggest obstacle you have right now is how hard it is to get anything done with the city. If you're a developer, time is money, and the longer it takes to get your process approved, to get your permits approved, to get your sites approved, the more money you have to spend just to get through the process. I've recently talked to developers who tell me it takes a month to get a project approved in Los Alamos. The same project takes a year in Santa Fe. So we have to fix the process. Then we have to actually drive down the costs of building. And there are a lot of incentives, the tangible incentives. The city can put in infrastructure so that it's easier, cheaper, and faster for the developer. Pre-negotiate with the neighborhood so that there's less conflict, and make land available, make financing available so we get more housing built. Thank you.
Thank you. We definitely heard some things that were very interesting. My next question, or the next question we have, is can you suggest how to streamline the approval process for multi-family projects? We'll start with you, Mr. Ives.
Thank you. There are a number of ways that we can streamline the process for multifamily housing. One of them that is being discussed down at City Hall is whether or not if you have a fourplex, basically 4 units that are being built, that type of multifamily housing, currently you have to go through the Planning Commission and through the entire planning process, but that should be capable of being done as an administrative matter, which would significantly streamline and shorten the timeframes for accomplishing those types of projects. I also have asked city staff to examine whether or not there are various types of designs of multifamily housing that we could build into the code so as to streamline the approval process. So if you come in saying, I want to build this type of unit, if it's in the code, it's here's your permit because it's already well defined. There are no ifs, ands, or buts or questions, and you just proceed to get it built. So, and there are several others, but my time is up.
So I am going to completely agree with Councillor Ives and add to that. I think really the way to streamline is to make sure that we have basically lists of what's desirable. We've done this in the past with incentives, how we have a point system of the kind of building you want, multifamily, different zoning, and you've got to get it out of really the political realm and into administrative approval, and that's how you streamline things. Because the way it works now, when you have a meeting of the Planning Commission or the City Council, all of these public bodies have to be noticed. The agenda has to be published ahead of time as to what they're going to talk about, where they're going to talk about it, and it really extends the process. So if we can define our terms and bring it into administrative approval so that the professionals who look at these developments and can say, okay, yes, that meets the criteria, and that approval process can then move forward in a quick and efficient way.
Councillor Trujillo?
What it comes down to is good land use planning. And what has to happen is dialogue has to take place. With the city, we have, as I mentioned, we have all these committees that all these developers come through to get the process of getting buildings built, homes. But what we need to do is also have that dialogue with the neighborhoods. Because in one of your questions, you said, and I say it all the time, it's called NIMBY, not in my backyard. And what happens is usually these buildings, these houses, where do they end up being? In District 3 and 4, and not in District 1 and 2. You know, this is the dialogue that has to take place citywide. You know, that's why we're doing the assessment of the properties that the city owns. This way we do an assessment, we know what can be built on these pieces of property, and we have that dialogue with the neighborhood so they understand this is how it's zoned,